Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's video because it's been something I've been getting a lot of questions about, especially recently. I'm not sure if it's because I've now graduated, so I've done the whole university experience, but everyone wants to know what the best bits were, what some of the worst bits were, what you could do to make the most of it, all of those kind of things to really heighten and elevate your university experience. I guess because I've done the whole spiel now, the whole 3-4 years, people kind of want to know my take and what I found to be the best bits and things to really focus on, which I'm more than happy to share with you because university happens very quickly. It's over very quickly. I was there for 4 years and I feel like it flew by, and everyone always says like, oh, they're the best years of your life, like you always look back on them, they were so fun, everything like that, especially from like your parents. If they've gone to university, you hear all of these stories and you want those stories for yourself, so I think it's only fair that you go ahead and ask those questions. But I have some of the answers for you today, as well as just some advice that I learned along the way, which I am so excited to be able to share with you. I do have a full list on my phone of things that I thought were like the most important or the most asked about, but if you do have any other questions or things that like follow-up questions from this list, please either leave them down below in the comment section or go ahead and DM me on Instagram because I'm pretty good at replying on there as well. Okay, so the first tip I have for you, and one that I think is really important and one I have definitely mentioned before on my channel, is speak to as many people as you can. Now, whether this is lecturers, people who work at the university, or people on your course or not in your course, just random people in like the canteen or the students' union, just speak to as many people as you can. I think especially once you get there, if you're new or starting a new year, everyone's kind of in the same boat. No one really knows that many other people, or people are completely new to the university, and that's a really great opportunity for you to kind of strike a conversation with that person, because everyone's looking for a friend, everyone's looking for an ally at university, and friendships and things like that can form very, very quickly. And it's also just interesting to speak to new people. There's that quote that everyone's an expert at something, which I've been saying time and time again, but it just means that you'll learn something new from every different person. Like every different person has something new to offer you, and I think that's really important, not only like growing as a person but also like broadening and widening your university experience, because from that you could form some really great friendships, really great relationships. They may not last that long, they may last for a term or a week, or they may last the full time, but it's just nice to know that you have a whole like plethora of people you can hang out with and just really make your university experience. My next tip is don't be afraid to ask questions. I have never been someone shy to ask questions. I've always been the person with my hand up asking them, because if you don't ask, you don't learn, and university is all about learning. Obviously that's the main reason, or one of the main reasons you go, is to educate yourself and get a further education in a topic or industry that you're really interested in. So by asking questions, you'll expand your knowledge on that, and it also just helps you understand more, because obviously university is a big step up from college or A-levels or anything like that, and it can be intimidating and overwhelming because there is so much information that you have to kind of gather all at once. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Raise your hand, make yourself known, whether you're asking a colleague or a friend or whether you're asking the lecturer. I think it is really important to ask those questions, because you will kind of limit yourself if you don't, especially because yes, you can go home and do the groundwork, but there may also be someone else in that lecture theatre or room that has the same question, so you could be helping them as well. So yeah, I'd always recommend asking questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question, and just go for it. My next tip is such an obvious one but such a good one, and it is to go to student nights, whether they're at your university or at club nights, what have you. Either one works fab. If they're at your university itself, it will probably only be your university students there, but so there's something about a student night which is just so different. I think because the community of that club or student union or what have you knows that everyone there is a student, it just feels different than like a club on a Saturday. I don't know why, it just has this kind of like sense of community, like I said, and it's just really fun, and just things are cheap, and it's just a great night. There usually are like a couple a week, it depends what area you're in, like whether it's a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Wednesday. Here in London there's practically a student night somewhere every night, so it's a great place to be. But things are just really cheap and fun, and it's a great way to have like a good night out on a budget, shall we say, on that student budget. But again, it's just a really great way to meet new people whilst you're there, because obviously if you go to a club night, the students there may not all be from your university per se, but you will meet new people and make some really, really fun stories. My next tip is something I definitely did very heavily, but is to make the most of your student discounts. Now, student discounts, I think you have them throughout sixth form. I might be wrong in saying that, but you definitely have them throughout your university years. I've still got mine until July, I think, so it runs out pretty soon. But whether you're getting an NUS card or you're using uni days, I opted for the uni days, and I literally used it for everything. I gave it to my friends, I gave it to my family. Not sure if you're supposed to do that, but student discount doesn't last very long, you know, and you need to save those pennies, especially if you're going to a university in London like me. So I definitely made the most of those student discounts, especially because I was quite the shopaholic in my first couple of years. I now no longer buy new clothes, so I haven't been using my student discounts very often, but back in the day, you bet I was using them, especially for restaurants and bars and things like that. They are so good. Definitely read the fine print, because I've definitely gone to some restaurants and it's been like, oh sorry, it's not in this branch, or oh no, that's only until 7 p.m. or whatever. There is a lot of fine print within those restaurant deals, but if you get the good ones, they're really, really good and can save you a hell of a lot of money. My next tip is to explore your new town or city. So for me, I was moving to London. I had been to London a few times before, just on like weekend trips or day trips, like shopping in the city and things like that, because I'm originally from Bournemouth, but I had never lived in London, and living in a place is completely different from visiting. For the first couple of weeks, I definitely still felt a bit like a tourist, like I was still taking pictures of like buildings and things and like the skyline, but then slowly but surely it kind of settled in, and I kind of found my rhythm in London, and I knew where places were, and I could explore new places which the usual tourist doesn't really know about, or isn't like the top 10 things on the to-do list of that area. So whether that was just like, I don't know, exploring new parks, going for a wander around Notting Hill, like all of these really cool places that you just kind of stumble upon when you live here, or just things that get recommended to you by other people or friends or university colleagues and things like that. That is another really great way to explore your city, as well as meet new people, because you can take someone with you, invite them on a little day trip out in your new city, and it's a really great way to just make you feel a bit more at home. It may also be that you're only planning to live there whilst you're studying and you're hoping to do your career somewhere else, or you're moving back home afterwards, so it's really important to make the most of that time in that city. You may never live there again, who knows, never say never, but you may not, so why not make the most of it whilst you're there and explore all the things you can. My next tip I think is crucial, and it is to get some work experience. No matter where you are, obviously London is quite easy to gain work experience because there's just so many companies and jobs here. Like, it's quite easy to figure out some way of getting work experience, whether it's super related or just kind of like a bit of a stretch. But I know in some smaller towns it may be a bit more difficult, but I would really recommend building up your work experience whilst you are at university, whether you just do it in Christmas holidays or summer holidays whilst you have like a big chunk of time off, or whether you are doing it alongside your university degree. Having a degree and work experience is just like the golden recipe for success, you know. Universities love it, lecturers love it, your employees will love it, future employees will love it, so just try and make the most of that, especially while you do have those big chunks of time off. I think it is really important to use that for good and like useful things like work experience. All of the part-time jobs I had whilst at uni were involved with my industry, so that either in some way or another, like even waitressing at events, I was still being there at events, bartending at events, I was still doing events because I was studying events management, but I also did work with like the events team at Cam and Hooper for my internship for a full year, which I did take a year of university out to do that. But then I also worked at the Hilton with their events team over the summer holidays, just things like that to pop on my CV and really start like building up my experience. Then another one of my favourite tips, which I've said time and time again, but whilst you're at your work experience, make sure you are networking. This can either be done with your work experience or with your university, or just in your part-time job, just in daily life, is to start building your network, because like I said, there's a lot of the it's not what you know, it's who you know, that does tend to come into play when you're trying to find a job, especially as a fresh graduate like me. It can be really helpful if you do already have that network of people who care about you and are interested and know your skills and your strengths. That's really important because it will help you in the long run. So if you can build that up whilst at university from like year one, you will be on a great foot for when you do graduate. I unfortunately did not network as much as I wish I had, so my foot isn't as greatly far forward as I wish it would be, but nonetheless it is a tip that I would really highly recommend that you do, especially to heighten and enhance your university experience. My next tip is a little bit fun, but it's just to use the time to experiment. Now take from this what you will, but I think university is a really great chance to kind of test who you are as a person. You know, you're away from your parents, you're away from your hometown usually, you're away from like your old school friends, so you can kind of like almost reinvent yourself and just try new things, try new hobbies, speak to people you otherwise wouldn't have spoken to, get involved with things that you may have been scared or like shy to previously have gotten involved with, and just figure out what works for you and what's important and what you want to prioritize moving forward. It's a really fun time to try new things, talk to new people, and just figure it out, because everyone's kind of doing the same thing. Like, no one's there judging you, everyone can have a good time and just figure out who they want to be moving forward. Like, university is only 3 years, but I think you grow hugely in those 3 years, especially because it may be your first time living on your own or living in a new city and everything like that. So it only comes naturally that you're going to try new things and experience new things and grow from that. So I would really take the opportunity to experiment, and don't be afraid to kind of step out your comfort zone or think outside the box a little bit and try some things that you otherwise maybe have not been super confident in or too comfortable to try, because this is a really great opportunity to do it, especially before you settle into your career and get on that path. You may decide that you want to change that, or there may be things that you thought were important but actually you prefer other aspects of a career. So just things to consider, but a really great opportunity to experiment a little, have a little bit of fun, try some new things and see what comes of it. My last tip, and the most crucial one, and the one that makes me feel like an absolute grandma, is to remember that this experience only comes once. Sure, you can go to university and again, but you can only go to university for the first time once. You're only a proper fresher once. Do you know what I mean? I know I sound like a super old soul saying this, but I have graduated, and believe me, it does go quick, and you do have some great experiences, some great memories and some great friends from it, but it's not without trying. You know, you have to make the most of it whilst you're there, because it does go very quickly, and you will look back at it and think like, oh, I wish I had done this, oh, I wish I had done that. I do have a whole video coming up on that, on like the things I wish I had done, or my university regrets. But naturally you have those, you know, no one's perfect, we're all human, we're all trying out new things, new experiences, and something we've never done before. But just remember that this is your only time to do it. So if you're sat in your dorm room or your accommodations by yourself, and you're scared to talk to people, and you're scared to join that society, and you go to lectures and you're silent throughout the whole thing and you sit by yourself, like, isolating yourself like that is just not really making the most of what university has to offer in terms of like the people there and the activities and the workshops and the support that the universities have for you. It's a really, really great chance for you to just broaden yourself as a person, just like expand on your likes and interests and knowledge. So I would definitely say to get involved as quickly and as much as you can to really broaden that experience and enhance that experience, to make the most of university. And just, if anything, just remember at the back of your head, like, you're only going to get it once, you know, it's like you only live once, that whole mantra people are doing. It's the same with university. It's a once in a lifetime experience for most people, and it does go by very quickly, so definitely try and make the most of it. But yeah, that is all the advice I have for you today on how to make the most of your university experience whilst you're there. I know it was very short and sweet and I spoke very quickly at you, but hopefully you took something away from this video. And if you do have any other follow-up questions, or just any other questions in general, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, or head over to my Instagram and DM me on there. But like I said, I really enjoyed my university experience. There are obviously things I wish I could have done more or done differently, but these are all of my biggest takeaways, which I would urge like my younger sister to do if she was going to university. So it's all things that I really wanted to share with you as well, which I hope you enjoyed. If you did like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe down below. I will have a ton more of these videos coming up. My DMs are filling up with questions. I'm not sure if it is because I've graduated or just because I'm making more of these videos as it is, but a lot of you guys have a lot of questions regarding university, and I'm so excited to be able to answer them for you. So please stick around, hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I'll see you very soon.